Well, rideshare drivers are planning a strike today over low pay. It's part of a larger movement that includes drivers in other major cities across North America as well. Organizers in Toronto say drivers will start protesting at Nathan Phillips Square starting in about 4 minutes time before making their way to Uber's head office on Bloor Street.
This all comes on the heels of a new report that shows, according to drivers, they only make about $6 an hour. That is after you factor in expenses and time spent without passengers. So joining us now live to talk about the gig economy and the holes that are leaving some workers disconnected from profits is tech and media consultant Mohit Rajan. So Mohit, is the gig up? I mean, the gig economy, it's a different economy. You know, when you work for an Uber driver, it's not like you're getting an hourly job. But what do you think here? What is it up?
Yeah, I think over the past 4 or 5 years, the term gig economy is completely transformed. On one hand, we think of it as this idea that it could be an Uber or Lyft driver, but it can also be a freelancer at home or somebody who does accounting. The idea in this situation with Uber and Lyft that's become clear is that they try to get ahead of getting people understanding how they provide a quality of life for people and really want to attract different types of people to come and work for them. But the truth is, when the audit came out, the workers themselves had the voice and had the choice to stop and say, what they're saying isn't true. It's really tough for a gig worker right now in 2024 to find a way to piece together any form of a livable income.
So Mohit, try to break it down for us. Is this about the technology or the quality of life? Like, what's changed for this to happen today? We're going to have a protest in about three and a half minutes time.
Well, it's quite remarkable. If you think about it, all of this technology was built on the back of these workers. You know, all of the drivers and all of the people that have gone around and provided the demand for the supply. These are the people that all of this technology has been built on. So for us to sort of turn a blind eye to the way that they're exploiting workers at this point, it's going to have a ripple effect. It's not just about Uber or Lyft. We have an entire student population that requires gig work in order to function. There's people in our lives that need these quote-unquote side hustles in order to continue to find ways and means to live. So we can't look at this just about a ride-sharing program. We have to hold tech companies accountable to make sure that the solutions that they're providing for the public are not as a result of exploiting people.
On the flip side, though, Mohit, you've got people in an economy right now who are dealing with, high inflation, whether it's grocery inflation, food inflation, et cetera, not feeling like their paychecks are keeping up. Do people actually getting the rides really care what the person driving is actually getting paid, or are they just more concerned about paying the least they can to get where they need to go? And do you even think about that when you're really logging in necessarily?
That's a great point, Nick. I think we are in a situation now where we have to remember that the Uber drivers could be you or I someday, and the Lyft drivers are our neighbors. And so when we start to understand that these same tech companies that know how to efficiently get us from A to B, they have the data to understand how they can be efficient in dealing with their own workers and contractors and employees as well. So why not create a sufficient work environment that maximizes the use of these drivers? I heard the stat about how many drivers are idle and not able to make money at all times. What does that do for the traffic in any major city? Are these people just on the side of the road hoping that something is going to happen? The data is there. Nick, Jen, we're in a situation now where these tech companies know so much about both their consumer and the people that work for them. If they don't use that data to make living conditions and working conditions better, then what's the point of having these services in the first place?
Yeah, so I guess, it's up to the government to kind of put pressure on these companies to pay their drivers more for the result that we're all hoping to see. But we'll see what happens. I mean, this strike, not a protest, gets underway very soon. Mohit Rajan, thanks so much for joining us this morning.